Hello, my cookies, and welcome to Russell Cooks. Thanks so much for tuning in today. I have an apple cider bundt cake. I can already taste it now. It's going to be delicious. We're going to use some pumpkin spice. And I know you're like, Russell, it's fall. Apple cider cakes, pumpkin cakes, these are dime a dozen. I'm like, well, listen, mine is easy to make and it's absolutely delicious. Now that we know what we're making, gather our ingredients. You are going to need some AP flour, eggs, apple cider, Granny Smith apples, brown sugar, vanilla, baking powder and baking soda, powdered sugar, a little bit of salt, pumpkin pie spice, butter. This is where the fun begins. Now that we've gathered our ingredients, let's get started. First things first. I'm not going to take you over to my stovetop, but you got to reduce this down. 4 cups of cider down to a single cup. I'm going to put it in a 12-inch skillet. I'm going to turn that heat on high, and I'm just going to let it rip and reduce it down to about a cup. Now, if you overshoot it a little bit, you can always thin it out with a little bit of extra apple cider here. Bring it up to a cup. You will need a cup total. So let's just do that now. It's going to take you about 20 minutes. While that's going, we can do everything else. First things first, I got my oven rack, middle position, 350 degrees. This is like quintessential, baking. Middle rack 350 is like the neutral base, and you adjust it from there depending on the recipe. You're gonna need a bundt pan. Make sure you grease this really well. Grease, flour. You get yourself a big old bowl. We're gonna do our dry ingredients first. 3 3/4 cups AP flour. I am adding about a tablespoon of my pumpkin spice mixture. 2 teaspoons kosher salt in here. Baking powder, 1.5 teaspoons here. And then for our baking soda, just a little bit more potent, 1/2 teaspoon. Let's go ahead and whisk this up. It's time for the wet ingredients. Let's get our apple ready. Apple will go into kind of the finished batter. You want essentially about 1.5 pounds of apples. Typical Granny Smith runs about 6 ounces. So let's say about 4 apples. Now, unfortunately, you have to peel these. Let's grate these. You want to end up with about 3 cups grated apple. I got the big box grater. If you want to use a food processor, you can. Doing it grandma style here, using Granny Smiths. That's like, sometimes I say stuff and I immediately regret saying it. Like, why did I say that out loud? So for our brown sugar, you're doing 1.5 cups packed. All right. Did you see how I packed that down? That was 1/2 cup. Seemed like more. And so now we'll do our 1 cup pack. We're going to put in 3 eggs. I got my 1.5 cups dark brown sugar, 3 eggs, and I put in my 16 tablespoons of melted butter, which works out to be about a cup of melted butter. So whisked it all around. Now it is time for vanilla. 4 teaspoons. 1, 2, 3, 4. Is that going to be enough? We'll never know. In a world where people don't use vanilla. Actually, you're the fancy pants, sir. So we've added our vanilla. Let's set around. My apple cider reduction finished. I got a cup. It went a teeny bit past, so I added a little bit more apple cider, which is fine. But look how much darker it is. It was almost clear before when we had it in the pan. So I'm just going to add 1/2 cup. Let's go back here to our apples. I'm going to add it to my wet ingredients here. Add this to our dry ingredients. Now we're going to fold this together. You can put your whisk away. Fold this up with our spatula. Let's go ahead and get this in our bundt pan here. We're just going to even this out. Put this into a nice little even layer here. Let's put this pumpkin spice apple cider bundt cake in the oven, 350 middle rack. 50-minute timer. So you're going to take your 1/2 cup remaining cider reduction. You're just going to put 2 tablespoons into a large bowl. And if you've ever made a glaze before, you normally use milk here. But obviously, we're doing our apple cider. And now it's time for the powdered sugar, also called 10X, confectioner sugar, whatever you want to do. Powdered sugar, start with 3/4 cup. Now let's go ahead and whisk 2 tablespoons apple cider reduction and 3/4 cup powdered sugar. It has been an hour. Let's go ahead and pull this bundt cake out. Check it out. I'm going to test it to make sure it's done with my official cake tester. All right, let's go ahead and pull it out. Let me get something on this cutting board so I don't burn it. Looking good. Look how much that's risen. We got a little bit of color here. That's nice. Let's go ahead and test it, see whether it's done. Comes out clean. Boom. We are good. We got moist crumbs here. Fantastic. You're going to want to let this chill for 10 to 20 minutes in here. Get it out. Get it on a plate. All right. And then, because then while it's still warm, we got to brush it with our apple cider reduction. All right. Let's go ahead and invert this onto a plate. This is slippity-doo-dah, slippity-day time. Look at this plate sliding down. It slid right out. I felt the thump immediately, the relief. Make sure it's centered. Beautiful. Look at that. I mean, it's brown on white on brown. Look at this stunning cake. We got fantastic browning. Look at the outside here. You can see the difference, too, between the part that touched the pan and the part that didn't. All right, we got really nice golden brown. Golden brown, that's flavor. It's caramelization. Not so much there, but we got it. We got it all over. It is relatively porous. If you want to stab it with your steely knives, I mean wooden skewers, you can. I'm just going to start brushing it and see how it gets absorbed here. Now let's get the drip. Let's get the drizzle. So I'm going to use my whisk. You want it to cool a little bit before you glaze so it doesn't melt off. So here we go. Look at this. Back and forth. Doesn't have to be perfect. No Michelin stars today. My God. That's brilliant. Remember the caramel I made? It tastes like a candy apple, or it tastes like a caramel apple. This tastes like a candy apple. I love it. It's time. Go ahead and cut into it. Nice crust. Nice crust. Soft. Everyone else take a peek. How's that crumb? Does it look moist? Better believe it. Let's get into the cake here. Nice and moist, but not soggy and dense. That's good. We got a good crumb. We got a good crumb. Look at that. Yes. That's what I want to see. So moist. So appley. So good. This is so delicious. We got a nice crust on the outside. You get that sweet, appley glaze combined with that juicy, moist, tender, apple-filled crumb. This is a winner, if I do say so myself. The sweetness is just right. I've gotten to the age where now things can be too sweet. This to me is perfect. Nice black cup of coffee to go with this in the morning. Yes, please. This is kind of like the perfect bake time too. I think mine was in for 55 minutes. So I'd say between 50 minutes and maybe an hour and 5. You know, you want the moist crumbs coming out on the stick. Any less, and I feel like it would be turning kind of gummy and dense in my mouth, but it's not. We're right on the cusp of, you know, moist, juicy deliciousness. And then if it's too much of that, you get this kind of, it turns gummy. Not here. Not here. The crumb still separates and it's got a fantastic texture. The caramelization on the outside really makes the apple pop. Thanks so much for watching. That was Apple Cider Bundt Cake. I really hope you like what you saw. And if you did, don't forget to subscribe to me on YouTube. I'm also on Twitch, Twitter, TikTok, and Instagram. Thanks so much. Links below. Have a great day. Take care.